Moses, Moses.
Under the blazing sun, by day I walked across the desert floor, sweat drizzling down my face and all around me, and through the blistering cold. Night after night I trudged along, not knowing to where it would take me. I had left everything behind, my birth parent, my adoptive mother, and all my siblings. I had left everyone and everything I had ever known. I had abandoned them all. But as I traveled through the harsh desert land to the unknown that lay ahead, I felt a hand guiding me, but to where I did not know. Escaping to the desert, lonely and bare, was the only way to save my life from Pharaoh's terrible rage. I am Moses, a Hebrew of the tribe of Levi, prince in Egypt, and a fugitive from the strong arm of Pharaoh's law. All I had tried to do was to save a Hebrew slave from the wicked scourge of his Egyptian overseer, but I accidentally killed that overseer. Even though I was adopted by the Pharaoh's daughter and had become a prince in Egypt, my Hebrew roots I could not deny, and I hated to see my people suffer. I was raised by my mother Jochebed, who taught me that God would send a deliverer to take us, his people, out of bondage. But when would godly man who had a positive influence in my life? One day, as I was out tending his sheep on the mountainside of Horeb, I saw a bush on fire, a bush burning. The fire was all over that bush, but the bush was not being consumed by the fire. That was so amazing. I got closer to investigate the spectacular event. Then I heard the voice calling,
Moses, Moses, take off your shoes, for this place is holy.
I immediately obeyed. The voice identified himself as the I Am, the God of creation, and then I Am sent me to Egypt to tell Pharaoh to let all the Israelites go. So my people would no longer be slaves in Egypt, and I was to be the deliverer sent by God. But I stuttered. I was not a good speaker, so God appointed my brother Aaron back there in Egypt to be my spokesperson. So Zipporah and I, along with our son, traveled down to Egypt. Can you imagine how surprised Pharaoh and all his magicians were to see me? And not so surprising, they refused to let my people go. God had to send plague after plague, since Pharaoh would agree to let them go. And then he would change his mind when God lifted the plague. So God had to send the plagues, one after another. In all, there were 10 plagues. Can you name any of those plagues? It was only after Pharaoh's firstborn child and all the firstborn of the Egyptians died that Pharaoh decided to let the people go. Under God's instructions, we had all already packed for the journey, ready to leave. God had given all the people favor with their Egyptian neighbors who had contributed lots of gold for the journey. Also, God's Passover supper was being prepared when we left in haste, on foot, towards the desert. And as God had instructed, we went by way of the Red Sea. Unfortunately, as we approached the sea, we noticed that Pharaoh and his armies were in pursuit of us. The sea was before us, and Pharaoh's army was behind us. The multitude was surrounded. There was nowhere to go. So the people were terribly afraid. Then the Lord spoke to me.
Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it.
So I shouted to the people, "Stand back and see the salvation of the Lord." I stretched my rod towards the sea. Then God performed a great miracle. The waters of the Red Sea parted, leaving a path through the sea with a wall of water on either side. Imagine that. God turned the sea into dry land. He can do wonderful things for us when we trust Him and obey His commands.
Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen.
God said, and I quickly obeyed. When we saw this great miracle of God, we burst out into praises to the great I Am. Miriam, my sister, with the women also praised God, playing timbrels and singing. God was our deliverer. Our journey to the Promised Land, the land that God had promised to Abraham, our forefather, was a long one. But all the way, God took good care of us, even while the people murmured against Him. We did not suffer hunger because He rained manna from heaven, nor did we suffer thirst because He caused water to gush out of the rock. He was light to us at night and shade from the sun during the day. Now allow me to share with you some information about a special occasion when God called me up on Mount Sinai. He informed me verbally of many laws that He wanted the Israelites to continue doing or to start doing. Yet of all the laws that He mentioned, He only wrote 10 of them on tablets of precious stone with His own finger, the finger of God. Amazing! The rest of the laws He told me to write. When I got down from the mountain back to my people, I was so upset with their ungodly behavior during my absence that I broke the tablets of stones with the 10 commandments. What a mistake! Anyway, afterwards God told me to find Him 2 tablets of stone like the first ones and meet Him up on the mountain again. And again He wrote the 10 commandments with His own finger. And God spoke all these words, saying,
I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's.